Hey guys, welcome back. So, I get asked from time to time, Gordon, what are your favorite tools to sculpt with? Now, this is a really broad answer that I could give for this. I'm going to try to make it condensed as possible. I don't have a favorite sculpting tool. I don't have a brand that I go to or swear by or anything. I kind of just grab whatever looks like it's going to do the job at the time. And a general rule of thumb for me, now there are people that there's exceptions to all these rules, but this is a thing that I learned from painting and then digital painting and drawing, and it applies to sculpture. For me, I think it works great. Something I think a lot of people go with is start big and go small. And what I mean by that is, like, when you start a sculpture, like if I was going to start this sculpture, I would start with my main tools are going to be my hands at first. I am going to take my hands and I'm going to work those forms into a shape that I feel like is starting to feel like what I'm after. I'm going to do all that with my hands before I pick up anything. And then once I go to my tools, I typically will grab like a bigger tool like this. Usually these are almost always my go-tos. You can make big changes really quickly, and you're starting to refine your shapes. And these are great. They have a little bit of a serrated end on one side, which I find helps me see the shapes a little easier. And I think it helps a lot of people, which is kind of why you would use something like this. It also leaves a little bit of a texture behind, which is great if you're doing something organic where you know, a little bit of surface undulation is nice. It kind of adds to the realism a little bit. So these tools are great. They are bladed on the other side, so you don't have to use the textured side. But it's like a rake tool. Big tools for big changes real fast. And then similar tools. It's not quite as big. Bladed only. Big changes. And then I would get into like a tool like this, which is sort of medium size. It's got some rough edges on it, like a wire wrap around it. So when you make a shape on here, let me see if I can do this. It leaves little lines. It doesn't just make like a smooth pattern, which is kind of nice. It helps you see your forms a little bit easier. Really good. And then I get down into kind of like like a medium-sized tool. I guess this one kind of crosses the large to medium for me. So then I get into tools that are, you know, this size, and then I start getting into kind of these size tools. And then I go to the smaller stuff. I get like kind of these standard size loop tools or ribbon tools, depending on what kind of clay I'm using, which are the difference between these. Like, let me show you if I've got one here that's the same. Like these two, this is a good example. Like these two tools, these are both made by Kemper, I think. Pretty sure these are both Kemper tools. That's just a brand. You can get them in a lot of craft stores. You can see they look almost the same, but one is a ribbon of metal and the other one is a loop of wire, but they're basically the same shape. I use these ribbon tools more when I'm using like monster clay, which is like it's like a wax-based clay. It's really hard, and these loop tools work really nice on this because they kind of have a blade on the edge. It's sort of sharp on one side. These tools also work on the clay, but I use them more for like buffing down the surface. That's with the wax-based clays. With the water-based clays, these will cut the surface as well. But I generally go to a tool about this size. And as I start to get into more detailed stuff, I'll move down into smaller, finer tools and grab some stuff here I can use for an example. You know, like little sharp pointy tools are great for making wrinkles. And then I've got small loops, and these are actually made out of guitar string. This tool and this tool are made by the same guy. These are homemade kind of tools that I bought at a shop here, but they're made by a guy here in California. This is just a saw blade, and he's cut two pieces and made some different sized little rakes out of them and soldered them into a brass pipe. And really similar with these. They're just guitar strings, so they have a little bit of texture, which is nice. But they're good for making the detail stuff. And same with these. These are all random tools. Not all of these are sculpting tools. Some of these are other items that I've found work great for sculpting. And a lot of people use some of these like dental tools are common amongst. You'll see a lot of sculptors use dental tools. A friend of the family used to work for an orthodontist, and when the orthodontist, this was back in the 70s, and the orthodontist went out of business, They had all these crazy dental tools, and they gave them to my grandmother, and she gave me a ton of stuff, and I have put so many of them to use in sculpting. And this is probably one of my favorite tools when I'm sculpting on the monster clay or Chivant, like the waxed or oil-based clays. They're a little bit harder. This is made by Schumacher. The Schumacher is like a little spatula tool. The actual number is C0P0113. Maybe it's COPO113. C0P0113. That's what I'll say it is. And it's a little spatula. And it's got like a little edge on it, so you can go in and flatten things out, or you can turn it the other way and cut stuff, or you can use a tip and cut wrinkles. This thing is super, super handy. One of my favorite tools. But I don't use this much on this kind of clay. This is a water-based clay. This is wet clay. I wouldn't use this tool that often for this kind of clay. This is more for my wax-based clays. Some other tools that I have this is some goofy thing that I made that's also made from dental stuff. This is made from braces wire, which I have here. I have tons of this stuff. It comes in all different weights and shapes. It's bendy, but it kind of keeps its shape, and it's stainless steel, so if I get it wet, when I rinse these things off, it doesn't rust, which is really nice. And I use this to make wrinkles. You can lay it down and slide along surface, and it helps make little surface wrinkles. Works great on wet clay. Let's see, what else? Got a couple other little tiny clay tools that I made way back when I started sculpting. When I started kind of getting into sculpting, I kind of sculpted on and off my whole life, but when I thought, like, I'm going to start sculpting stuff regularly, I started making tools because I didn't know what to buy. And a couple of these tools I still use to this day. They look like, let's see, get some good examples here. So this is one. It's a little weird shaped loop. It's kind of like a little, I don't know, like a lasso. This works really well on the wax-based clays also. This is, again, this one is made from some of that braces wire. I've got this one. It's made from an old safety pin. And a little bit smaller version of that, which is made from another safety pin, a smaller size. And then I have this little tool, this goofy shaped little tool. All these are made on chopsticks, by the way. This little tiny tool. This is made out of a staple. I've had this for a long, long time, and I love the way this thing works. It's great for making little wrinkles and so forth. Love this thing. Made it myself. Cost me basically nothing. Took the chopstick when I ate at a Chinese restaurant, and a staple basically free. So handy, handy stuff. But overall, the main things are, start big, move small. That's going to save you a lot of grief in the long run. If you're starting small and fiddly, it's going to be a lot harder to go, make your whole sculpture off of one piece. Not that you can't do it. You can if you really want to, but it's just going to be a lot more work, and it's a lot harder to do. Another random tool that I use regularly, it's not a sculpting tool. This is a scratch board tool that I got in high school. Scratch board is, you take a piece of paper and they cover it with, you can cover it with paint. You can buy them pre-made, but basically it's covered with paint. Usually it's black, and then the board underneath is white, and you scratch away the black to make your artwork. And this is the tool that you use for that. This is made by, who makes this thing? I don't know who makes this. But if you look up scratch board tool, you can buy these, and the little tips are replaceable. So you can, I've never had to replace it, but if you ever had to, you can replace the tips of these scratch board tools. Very, very good for making wrinkles. I love this tool. Very good. Another one that is not a sculpting tool is this lemon zester. I think I got this at Crate and Barrel. This was suggested in one of the Stan Winston School videos by Don Lanning. He loves these. So I was like, I'll check that out. I picked it up. It's awesome. So, lemon zester, another good sculpting tool. If you find random things that you think will work well on a sculpture, try them. Chances are you'll be right, and then you'll have a crazy new tool that nobody else has. These guys, these little metal kidneys, whatever these are called. What do they call these? I can't think of the name of them. It's like a slick tool, like a little scraper. But I got one that's serrated. It's good for doing finishing, especially if you're making like big smooth items. You need to check the surface to find low spots. When you run this along the surface, it makes a bunch of little lines, and if there's a low spot, it won't make any lines. So you can, very easy way to find out where low spots are if you're making like a helmet. Like when I did the Death Star droid helmet or Robocop, I use this a lot. And then I'll use a tool, same shape but no serrations, to go back over and smooth everything down, make it really smooth and shiny. And this is basically the same thing, a slightly different shape. And this one's really flexible. So if you're got a smooth, rounded surface, you can bend this like at a curve and make your contour. You can figure out what your shape is going to be and just draw it along the surface, and that's very handy. So I know this is super rambly, but there's so many options to sculpt with. And if you follow the basics, start big, and then go medium, and then move to the little stuff, you'll probably be fine. But anyway, hopefully that was helpful to somebody. I got something in just now that I have to go do an unboxing. It's going to be really cool. I'm very excited. So I'm going to end this video and go do that. And I'll be in the same clothes in the next video. See you guys soon.